So Divya, once we are on, just give a thumbs up, please. Divya? Great. So Zarine, we are live now.
Great, awesome.
So welcome to our platform, Zarine. Very happy to have you here.
My pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
So before we start with today's topic, I'll just give a brief introduction of you to our audience. Uh, so during the corporate stint of 16 years, Zarine had observed hundreds of good women fail to achieve their potential, and it led her to seek out the answer to why good women have a bad time with success. And that's a very, very profound statement and very true. From this was born the Ethical Badass Factory. She runs her own podcast show, The Ethical Badass Tales. She has designed a framework for successful negotiations called the Worth Framework and a framework for leadership, successful leadership called the Circle of Impact. She has been invited to talk at management colleges like KJ Somaya Institute of Management and forums like the Herky Club. She also writes articles for ETHR World, Treasury Today, and the Bulletin Box. She has been featured in podcast shows which are interested in My Worth and Circle of Impact frameworks. She's currently writing a book titled Why Do Good Women Have a Bad Time with Success and How They Can Turn the Tide, which is relevant for women world over. So, Zarine, is that book published or how far away are we from
I
seeing
am
it?
currently writing it. My initial
Okay.
so it is almost 90% done. My initial intention was to publish it immediately, but then now I want to gain more traction on what I am doing, because the more people, I want to reach out to more people, more ladies with this book. So once my tribe is created, the book will get published hopefully sooner than later.
Can't wait for that actually.
Thank you.
So, what is this brand Ethical Badass Factory? Very, very different name. What
Yeah.
does it actually signify?
Right. So it took me quite some brainstorming to come up with this name. But Saraswati, like you were saying, I was working for 16 years in the corporate world, and my pre-ethical badass days in the corporate sector pretty much resembled episodes of the series The Office. If all of you have seen The Office, I think there was an Indian remake also of that. That is, until I realized that I needed to actually seize my weekdays. I needed to tone down in the weekend partying, obviously, and find or refine that strong ethical streak in me that was already there, but I had undervalued it. And this ethical streak could be really, really powerful. So, the Ethical Badass Factory was actually born through my regular posts on social media to talk about all my quests post pandemic. People liked what I was writing, so I realized that something going there, and it just took off. So what I did was I ditched my tendency. I had to ditch my tendency to undermine myself. I decided to wear my integrity proudly on my sleeve, which I had not done for a long time, and help other badass women do the same. So, what is coming to your question? What is the vision of the Ethical Badass Factory? At some point of time in our lives, all of us have to go through this journey. It's a very highly personal journey to discover our right, our wrong, and our truth, because it is a very personal journey. And what the world needs right now more than ever are very ordinary people with these extraordinary values of ethics, integrity, and kindness. These three values are very extraordinary. And at the Ethical Badass Factory, we believe that ethics is a very feminine quality. Men could also have this quality, but it's more of a female quality. And we also believe that the ethical feminine can change the world if we tap its full potential, and regular people like me and like all of us here can achieve big legendary success if we are able to unlock the true power of ethics and integrity. So our mission with the Ethical Badass Factory is to foster a community of really badass women who confirm that they are ethical, who are proud of being ethical, and who are proud of being value driven, but who can kick some real ass. So our philosophy ditches the whatever it takes yardstick that is generally used to measure corporate success, and we prefer to embrace winning by staying true to the ethical superhero that is there within all of us. So that's what the Ethical Badass Factory is all about.
Great, sounds good, Zarine. So, why do good people find it difficult to succeed?
Yeah, so Saraswati, if you observe success dynamics closely, all of you, you will realize that many good women fail to tend to lose this race to success. And thus the question, why do good women or good people have a bad time with success? The answer is that much of the success culture that is there around us is very testosterone driven. It is very intimidating and it is quite non inclusive. Now, tell me how many of you can identify with this?
Me, definitely.
You don't. So I was
I have
actually
quit a few jobs on values and ethics.
really, wow,
Yeah,
wow, hats off to you. Because I think very few of us, though we do tend to be, women tend to be a lot value driven, we get
yes,
scared of, we have this fear of missing out, because of which we don't really quit situations that we should. In hindsight, when we look back, we should have exited the room much faster. But this typical situation that happens to a woman professional, especially a woman professional with vintage, she sees these kind of people all over. You can't love them, you can't hate them, right? We have all had the bad fortune or the good fortune, whatever we tend to attribute to it, of seeing at least one of this kind of person in our working careers. That one colleague who confidently bags a promotion and gets a raise, but he will smartly avoid doing any work that might be tough, time consuming, or maybe even requires him to do any work at all. So we are a good model employee, right? So we will
right.
be observing this colleague. We've probably been observing him for a long time. It could be a her as well. I'm just using the pronoun him without any sexist intentions. So we actually see him passing on the grunt work to other people like us who will take it up. This colleague, meanwhile, has smartly leveraged politics and he has smooth talked his way to all the goodies. How many of us have seen this kind of a person? Maybe, if okay, Rajpreet is saying yes, we do. I'm assuming that she has seen, maybe if other people can also comment, telling me whether they've seen this kind of person in their working life.
I have
You
definitely.
have,
Yes, definitely. Rajpreet has. I'm
Rajpreet
sure.
has, of
I
course.
think we all have.
We all
Yeah.
have, right? Right.
Yes, yes.
So the bad news is that what this colleague of yours is doing works. But the good
Correct.
news is that it doesn't work for a really long time, because there is a ceiling that honestly he won't be able to breach. And coming back to us, to you, the ethical person, the good person, let's clear the word good here, because it's a very loaded word. It's a very binary term, the word good, don't you think? Good girl. Good girls are not naughty. Good girls listen to mommy. Good girls don't stay out late at night. Extending that, good girls do as the boss says. Good girls do as the company says. Good girls are satisfied with where they are. Good girls don't break any rules. So you might have gotten a clue as to where this is going and why good girls finish last. Because good girls wear their straight jackets, their good straight jackets, and spend their time being very nice to everybody. Right? We are very nice to everybody because we are good people and we have to maintain that good, nice image. So, what's so wrong with being nice to people? What's wrong is that being nice all the time, if I'm nice all the time, I might be putting other people above myself. right, and other people's interests above myself. And companies definitely do not want ineffective leaders who are very easily swayed by other people's needs. And that's the reason very often good women do not finish first. So, the question that you should be asking yourself, all of us should be asking ourselves, is this: what should I wear in place of this goodness cloak that I'm wearing all the time to ensure that I scale the corporate ladder? And the answer is wearing your values, your ethics, and your integrity very proudly on your sleeves, because then you will become a leader who is not always agreeable. You know, good is a very binary and subjective term, but ethics comes from science. Ethics is a very scientific study of values. So you will, if you're an ethical leader, you will become somebody who is not always agreeable, but definitely somebody who's always respected. And that is the kind of person that companies look out for when it comes to doling out the promotions and the leadership positions. So at the Ethical Badass Factory, we are here to tell you that it's entirely possible to be an ethical badass, and it's not onerous. It need not be onerous. What more, it can be very fun and very inclusive.
Understood, Zarine. So, how does this all, go into the office politics? How does this all help us to avoid office politics? Because that is something I think, again, each of us would have experienced at some point of time or the other.
Yes, I'll come to that. I think Rajpreet has an audience question. Do we take that now? Do we take it later?
Yeah,
Saraswati?
sure, we can do that.
We can take it now. Okay.
Rajpreet?
Yeah, hi Zarine. Hi.
Hi.
So, Zarine, firstly, it was a very, very inspiring talk. Let me come on with you actually. Very
Thank you.
inspiring, thoughts and commendable work that you're doing. Definitely, I must say that. So, while
Thank
I
you.
do relate to a lot that you spoke on ethics, and we've also built Sechi's with a core foundation on that, and integrity and authenticity, and all of that. But when you're actually working at times, the question is that at times it is like being practical. When you mentioned that you could have left the room earlier, but at times it's not an easy decision. So how do you really, like measure the trade-offs which you may not be in a position to take?
I think this is a muscle that needs to be exercised, and that is where career coaching comes in. So, when we say be ethical, we are also talking about being ethical, however, being badass. You know, you can be ethical as well as be badass. You can up your skills, you can up all those skills that are necessary to move up the corporate ladder, which actually I was coming to Saraswati's question on office politics. Now, for example, office politics, so I'll answer her question along with answering yours, if that's okay, because the answer would be similar. Is that all right, Saraswati and Rajpreet?
Yes,
And
definitely.
I can maybe add on. So, there is this very untold truth that nobody talks about when it comes to work performance. People don't really talk about it, and maybe we should address it a little more. And this truth is the fact that politics is not being leveraged in the right way by women when we talk about advancing in our careers. Right, so many women professionals, we consider politics to be evil. We are brilliant performers at work, but we consider it to be evil. So most women professionals actively seek out workplaces that are less political. So very, very senior women that I speak to, when I ask them about politics, they say we avoid it. Very senior women are averse to handling politics, and we all know, though we don't want to acknowledge, that the higher you go up the ladder, the more politics you will see, because it gets narrower at the top and you are going to see politics, right? So when we actively seek out workplaces that are less political, but then the fact remains that human beings need to be political in order to survive, and there will be a certain level of politics in every organization. Of course, toxicity levels would vary from organization to organization, and that's what I meant by saying leaving the table. If it's very toxic, Rajpreet, I don't think we need to go through that. Whatever be the stakes cannot be higher than you and me tolerating a toxic workplace. because that not only diminishes our value and worth as people, that will also ultimately diminish our value and worth in the marketplace. So that is definitely a situation when one needs to leave the table or needs to leave the room. But coming back to politics, this is why it is important to know not only how to deal with politics, but also how to leverage politics. And if we are women professionals who are averse to politics, our dislike of politics this is very important, our dislike of politics may be costing us opportunities at the workplace. Politics is only a means to an end. If you, the original definition of Aristotle discovered politics, right? So, very interesting definition that he gave of politics. He says politics is a way to resolve disputes mutually by talking instead of getting into war, because those days people used to fight with each other, right? So, when you look at it from this angle, if there weren't politics in the world, we would all be at loggerheads with each other. We would all be at each other's throats. So it's very important to know this, and this is something that we discovered at the Ethical Badass Factory, that politics is only a means to an end. It is just a weapon, and this weapon can be wielded by us for either very good things, great good, or for terrible bad. It depends on the person wielding the weapon. So as a smart woman professional, you need to do it differently, right? Just giving you an example, how do you leverage politics for your benefit? So one very actionable tip that a smart and ethical badass would do: make a list of all the political animals at work. By animals, I mean human beings who are political, and band them into the different kind of politics that they play. They could play good politics, they could play bad politics. It is very important to know the difference between the two. See if you are any good at any of the good politics that is being played by any of these political animals, and then start to use your skills to your advantage. For example, if there is a lady X at your organization who is a pro at negotiating. Negotiation is part of good politics, and you know how to play the game well too. Maybe you are also a good negotiator. Help her with some key client deal that she is negotiating for. What will this result in? She will warm up to you, and she will let you into her inner circle if she is one of those whose opinions and whose good wishes matter to you, if she's senior enough in the organization. So this is the way that one needs to leverage leverage all the right things in the organization. One needs to play it smart as well. When one becomes an ethical, being an ethical badass, one just doesn't need to be ethical. So have I answered your question, Rajpreet?
Yes, absolutely, Zarine. I do, get it, and I kind of agree. So thanks for sharing. I
Most
think
welcome.
we can go on talking on this, but yeah,
Yeah,
thank you
absolutely.
so much.
We can have an entire day's debate on this, but this is what it is in a nutshell. I know, by the way, if dealing with politics is something that you are struggling with, any of you, and you want to consider getting help, you can reach out to me.
Lovely, lovely. And at Sechi's also, we focus a lot on coaching and mentoring, and so that this entire, the entire safe space is there. And in
Yeah.
fact, on this app also, we are trying to create the safe space where you can have these discussions in a very trusted environment.
Yeah, which is so important,
So,
because sometimes one just cannot confide, and politics can get really ugly. So there were these sessions that we had run on workplace bullying. I was interviewing a lot of people who were working against workplace bullying, and well, bullying can be of the worst kind. People can get racist, can get sexist, and worse. So a lot of times one doesn't feel safe enough to talk about it in a workplace. I mean, I spoke to this lady of color from the US who had been bullied. She's been working for the past 17 years before she quit to set up her own company. And she says, I've been bullied in every organization I've worked at only because of my color and my gender added to it. Very badly bullied. And in some cases, she was bullied by women bosses. So it can be really terrible for some. And it's so great that you're creating this safe place for people to confide in each other.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits is that it's easier to open up to somebody you don't know, so
Yeah,
that there are lesser chances of
absolutely.
being
Yeah,
judged,
that's true.
and you get a
Yeah,
very different perspective.
yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's one of the things that we are trying to address here.
Absolutely. That's a
Uh,
great thing that you're doing.
so apart from office politics, how do women show up with more confidence at work? I mean, I have seen a lot of women, who know everything, who do their job well, but when it comes to pitching for the project, they always take a step back because they feel that they may not be able to do it, and it always
Yeah,
goes to somebody who
yeah.
may not know as much but has just taken the chance to put his hand up.
Wow, you are so right. Absolutely. In fact, I have faced this very often. Most of what I teach now at the Ethical Badass Factory is something I went through personally, and I had faced this so many times when I would suddenly realize that I know much more than this person, but why is he getting the important project that is going to get him the promotion or the increment for sure, and why have I been left behind? Before I realized that probably I'm not even sitting at the table at a position where I'm even visible to others. I'm sitting in some corner, and probably the people, the important decision makers, don't even know me. But just coming back to the question about confidence, that's true. Many women secretly wish to make an impact, but don't end up making that impact, and they are great at their jobs. So what do we do? They put it down to their lack of confidence, and then they link this to their self-image. They say, I have a negative self-image. They make up their minds that they will not be good enough or they will never be good enough. So as a consequence, all these things that you talked about, they don't speak up at meetings, they don't volunteer to lead important projects. And then there's a boomerang effect because this lack of confidence is visible to others, and the decision makers would not give them the responsibilities as a consequence. It's a cause and effect that happens. So what if I were to tell you that to be successful, you don't really need to worry too much about self-image. You may have drawbacks, all of us do, and you don't really need to unduly dwell on them or even get rid of your flaws. But what is more important is that you are aware of how you are perceived by others. Aware in a very, not in a negative sense, but just aware, like a third party is aware. And this can be your true weapon. Just giving you an example, if you see most of the pro players, sports people, the top sports people, they will record their play and they will see it later. They will view it in a very dispassionate way. They will not get attached to it, but they will view it to see the places where they went wrong. So if you know how that others perceive you to be a little aggressive while negotiating, for example, you can ask a colleague of yours who is comparatively mellow as compared to you to accompany you to that meeting. So your colleague can end up being kind of a yang to your yin. The first thing that I would do if I were a woman professional who is low on confidence, I would take a poll among my trusted friends on how others perceive me, and then I would work out ways I can use this perception either to my advantage or neutralize that perception, whatever be the case. So, hope this was helpful.
Yeah, very much. I think the important thing is to have that self realization, and then take feedback and kind of work on it.
True, very
So
true, very true.
actually, I think this is one topic we can go on and on. So I would definitely like to invite you again to talk on many of these topics, which
Sure,
are like subtopics, which are topics by itself, like office politics, confidence, etc.
sure.
Unfortunately, we have another call, another speaker
Ah,
at
okay.
6:30.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
we
Ah,
have
we
it back
ran
to
late.
back
Okay,
today.
okay, okay,
So
okay.
we'll definitely call you back again, Zarine.
Sure, sure.
It was great
All
talking to you.
right. All right. So
Uh,
you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Zarine Swamy is
sure,
my handle. ZARINESWAMY. And also subscribe to the Ethical Badass Tales. Ethical Badass, TALES Tales. And
definitely.
you'll find all my offerings there and what I do. And if you do want help with any of this, please do reach out to all of you in
Sure.
the room.
Yeah, sure.
All right. It was
Rajpreet?
great.
Sure,
It was
Zarine.
great chatting.
Yeah.
Bye,
Yeah,
Thank you so
Saraswati.
thanks,
much.
Bye,
Zarine.
Bye.
Rajpreet.
Thanks a
Bye
lot.
bye.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. See
Bye.
you. Bye. We'll of course get
See
in
you.
touch. Bye. And for
Yes.
the audience as well. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.